something that most people don't understand about being a video editor. The creator or the business owner or the influencer, they don't give a shit about the editors. A lot of smaller scale business owners, they're just like, I just need videos. I need them every day. Gary Vee said post as much as possible. If you get 1 million views, followers just magically appear. If you get 1 million views and you do it repeatedly, you're always relevant. You're always getting recognized in the street. All we ever focus on is getting views because it's constant relevance. I don't think it's hard to go viral. I think it takes skill. It takes repetition. Anybody can go viral, once. Does take skill to go viral multiple times, especially if you start hitting like going viral every week. Generally speaking, if you trigger people in some way in the first 3 seconds, it's going to get views.
Welcome back to the 4Media Uncut podcast. On today's episode, we have an extremely special guest flying all the way from Florida just for this episode. This is the man behind the rise of Alex Hormozi on YouTube, as well as so many other of your favorite personal brands and business influencers in the space. He has cracked the code to TikTok Shorts, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, absolutely every piece of short form content, and he is known as the king of short form, Mr. Ryan Magin. And on today's episode, we're going to walk through what that formula looks like, what it takes to crack those things, and most importantly, the struggles that come with being able to scale these accounts, whether it's dealing with clientele, whether it's certain editing, whether it's the way they shoot, and everything in between. So Ryan kind of fills us in on a little sneak peek behind the scenes of his life and the way that he's doing this, and how he gets these kind of results for people just like me even. With that being said, enjoy the episode, take some notes, and start getting into short form content because I think this episode's going to help you do that. Mr. Ryan Magin, thank you for flying out. You actually flew out today from Florida to Georgia just for this podcast.
Well, it was more just to hang out with you for the day. As a bonus, we get to do the podcast.
There you go. We'll take it that way. But regardless, you put a lot of effort to getting here, to flying out here, to making this happen. Couldn't do it without that. So first of all, thanks for making that happen bso we even get going. I appreciate you, bro.
Well, anytime I get to hang out with you, I feel like as a byproduct, I make more money. So it's like, I flew here, but I used miles, and then so it really didn't cost me anything to get here.
That's fair.
It's just a day away from the family, so which does suck in a lot of respects. But
ironically, that's how we met, though, right? Someone told you to pay me for an hour of my time.
Yeah, basically, you were my most expensive friend I paid for.
It
cost me $3,000.
Yeah,
and we were supposed to do a second call, but I never did because I was like, well, he just gave me a bunch of shit on the first call, which it took me a while to implement. And then but by that point, I was actually seeing you at events, and we just became friends.
Just boys.
Yeah, I was like, all right, cool. So I don't need to do that. I can just call him now.
But it's funny how it works, though. I think before we even get in, I think that's something very underrated that people don't do is like pay for the first seat at the table. I think a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to pay for friends, or I don't want to. Dude, at the end of the day, like in reality, you are not bringing value that is valuable enough for this person that you're meeting with. Otherwise you wouldn't have to be paying for that time. And it's okay to pay for someone's hour or pay for an event that they're hosting or pay for a day with them, whatever the case is, to be able to get that access. And if you are the person that you should be, example, your case, right? We just became friends and now we both give each other value all the time. So
yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think most people struggle to make friends, and they're like, I think the thought of buying friends, because it is like, I say that facetiously because it's like, well, yeah, but at the time you were recommended to me by my good friend Chris Barnard, who had just paid you for the same thing, and he's like, dude, it was worth every penny. Like, I just got so much out of it. Eddie taught me this, this, and this, and I was like, and at the time I was starting my agency, and I was like, I really couldn't ask anybody for help because I didn't know anybody that was doing what I was doing, which was like such a high volume of like short form videos. And I was like, well, Eddie has like a team of like 100 people, and he's working with a lot of big clients, so it's kind of similar. So maybe he has some insights. And then literally I was like, we never talked to each other. We connected via text, and I sent you, I don't remember, I think it was like $3K for like two calls. And, but it ended up like, I got so much out of the first one. I was like, well, I'll use this one eventually, but, and then we just kind of started seeing each other at events. But after that first call, it was like, you saw the value I could provide. I saw the value you can provide. Then we saw each other at an event. It was like, oh, let's go hang out. And then I think we got a hookah, and now we're friends. So yeah. I think paying, it's not so much paying for access, it's paying to just like, oh, I should hang out with this person, which most people are afraid to do that. Because, I mean, for frustration that you saved me for the $3K for the initial investment, paid for itself times 10, and that, I think I prefer, like, I guess it's considered consulting calls if people do it. Like, most people get to a point where they can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not a big fan. Like, I've never really been involved in like I've been at masterminds and like attended, but I've never like been to like a year-long thing. I'm like, I just want to like, how much can I pay just to answer this question? Because this is stopping me like a motherfucker right now, and I want to figure this out. And then if somebody let me put a price tag on that, I just decide if the price is worth it or not. Yeah, this is, we're going to make me more than that. And then I just pay for the call. I just think it's a better way of operating, at least, you know, for certain people. Not some people need the community, but I have a pretty extensive group of friends that is very high level. So I don't need to replace my friend group with a new friend group. So I don't know, it's just a hack that I've always done is I'll look for the button for a call or like DM or like, you know. And I mean, I would, like, for you, I was like, it was like at the time, it was like a $5,000 problem. Yeah. And I was like, I hope he doesn't say more than that. Because then I'm going to have to like, fuck, do I really want to do this?
But we solve more than just that one.
Yeah, yeah, it was more. It was also too just, like I joke, like you were soothing. It's like reassuring to talk to somebody that's like, okay, these problems exist. He dealt with them. I'm kind of going through this. And then it's like, you know, because when I paid for that call, I think we were at like 40 or 50,000 a month. And I mean, since then, that was like a year, maybe a year and a half ago, I've doubled that revenue.
You were less than that.
Might have been 30.
Yeah, you were like 28K a month.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, because you broke it. Then that was also cool. Like seeing how you broke everything down to start too was like, whoa, I need to look at my shit more in depth. It's like, I feel like Eddie knows more about this than I do now. So, but you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. So it's just like, you're just kind of reacting. But yeah, since then I've gone to, I guess, triple that. You know, so it was definitely worth the investment.
I mean, you've done a lot. It's not, that wasn't from the call. You know,
yeah, but it was a key. It was, I would consider it a, you know,
pivotal point.
A pivotal point where like, okay, you know, because you recommended using Monday.com, and then that turned into me building out a whole like organizational system with file management. And like we didn't have that. We were just using like Google Drive, and it was kind of a mess.
I remember your sheets and Drive, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Which the irony now is we kind of gone back to that in a much more effective way. But it took the Monday experience. Like we still pay for Monday. I haven't decided if I want to cancel it because we've switched our whole like editing process up like 6 times since that call. But Monday was always a constant. And it was to keep all the feedback. And I just wasn't doing that before. We're just relying on editors, and that's never good.
Yeah, I love that, dude. Yeah, I'll last thing on that, and then we can get started on this. But you know, you mentioned like people get so rich that they don't do consults anymore. I don't really see a point in my life where that's going to happen because I don't at this point, like the money's cool. Don't get me wrong. And I charge way more per hour than what I did, you know, a year and a half ago when we talked, 2 years ago, whatever it was. But think about it this way. Like if someone's willing to pay me like example, 20K for 4 calls, right? Like he's probably a good caliber person to be friends with, like on a business level at the very least. You know what I mean? If someone's willing to fork out 20 grand for 4 hours of someone's time. And that's how I look at it. Like if someone's willing to pay Grant Cardone $50K for an hour, you know what I mean? Grant Cardone probably could find a way for both of them to do business and mutually benefit. And it's probably someone worth talking to if you're going to spend $50K, you know, for an hour with someone.
Yeah, I think anybody that like for 2 or 1 values somebody's time that much that they can put a number on it, at least quantify it that way. And also 2, if they can afford it, it's obviously, you know, a higher caliber person. I mean, I know people get all triggered when you say that, but it's like if you have the capacity to spend that type of money for a phone call, you're doing something correct in other areas of your life. Because generally speaking, that's kind of like a throwaway money or an investment.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, so you're like, and like for me at the time, it was like I had enough to where 5K was like, I'll do that without a question. But then it's like after that, now I have to be like,
I want to take this out.
Let me check out Eddie's Instagram before I send him this 5K. Because at the time, I don't think I looked at anything. I just took, and that's also a testament of word of mouth and like actually providing a good service and like caring. Because Chris was like, no, I don't even know how Chris met you at Los's event. And he's like, dude, I talked to this guy, Eddie. He's the fucking man. He's like, he's like, so Chris paid for the Los mastermind, which I think it was like 30K or so for the year.
Yeah.
Met you, and then you solved this problem, but he wouldn't have got access to you if he didn't pay that 30. So it's like it's paying for access and like learning that. Like, I mean, that's what you did with your Lamborghini.
Love it. Well, thank you for making it out. It's crazy how we met and where we are now, even individually in our own paths and even together as friends. But what do you do for everyone that's listening? Give a quick intro about yourself.
So I make people go viral on short form content, TikTok, Reels, YouTube Shorts, Facebook Reels, anything that's basically less than a minute. We're really, really highly skilled at. We post around 4,000 videos a month to the platforms. I currently have 14 team members, 12 full-time video editors, and I've gone viral, which is 1 million views in 48 hours over 1,000 times in the last year.
Wow. That's a flex.
Yeah.
And I know you're you can't say everyone that you work with or have worked with, but I'll give a list of my own, and then you could just not respond at all because I know what I know. But I mean, you've worked with huge ass people like Grant Cardone, Ryan Pineda, Alex Hormozi. I know you were a big part of that come up, but people outside of this call will disagree. But I've seen it with my own eyes because we were talking at that time, and I was able to actually see it happen. So mad respect to you.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, you've taken a lot of boring ass people that I know and made them go viral. So that's really the biggest flex to me is like, it's it's easier to take people who are like really good on camera and can do all the stuff. But I think something that you do specifically is you have a good eye for like what's going to go viral and what's going to, actually pop online. And sometimes it's not the things that people want to talk about. It's usually not actually from what I've seen. So could you like give me like a quick rundown of how you formulate that, like what that looks like?
Yeah. So, I mean, it is cool because I've helped a lot of people and that's kind of like where I've taken the turn with my own personal content. Like I didn't even flex my own content. I just recently crossed 100 million views on TikTok.
Nice.
And that's not counting like 45 or 50 on YouTube Shorts, and Instagram's like kind of shitty. They don't tell you that, even though I think it's a good thing to know. But
Facebook, you're killing it on
Facebook as well. Facebook, I average 1 million views a week on Facebook without even trying, which is kind of fun, and they also pay really well for those listening, like reposting your TikToks, or not reposting without the watermark to Facebook crushes. But yeah, I built a following on Facebook as well to where now it's actually, I care about Facebook to the point where like I'm putting effort into Facebook. But yeah, like I've always been a fan of podcasts, and it's always like you have to have a big person be a podcast host for a little person to kind of come on and then get the recognition or find the cool nugget that they need to kind of become well known. And I've kind of shifted my own personal content to just talking to regular people and trying to find the most interesting thing about them that I could then turn into a viral video. Because and we were talking in your car, I don't think it's hard to go viral. I think it takes skill, it takes repetition, but anybody can go viral, once. It does take skill to go viral multiple times, especially if you start hitting like going viral every week. But most people have interesting stories. They just don't know how to frame them in a way that gets attention. And we've just found that, generally speaking, if you trigger people in some way in the first 3 seconds, it's going to get views. And if the story is delivered in a good way, or there's an educational nugget intertwined in that said story, then you have like 2 or 3 chances to go viral because it's like a good nugget, entertaining story, good hook, and then the video gets views. And it's like that on every platform. And I think where we differ, at least I've always forced, me and my team, is when we started, back even before we first met, it was just TikTok. And like I started TikTok right at the beginning of the pandemic, like going serious. I was like, okay, this is like for me, it was like, this is my all chips all in kind of moment. I'm like, I'm way early. Nobody's thinking about this shit yet. And everybody's going to want it at some point. And I truly believe that. So I was like, okay, let's crack the TikTok code, but let me do it for myself. Because up until this point, like I had done a lot of stuff online, but I wasn't by any means social media famous. And I'd never gone viral before. I'd never gotten more than 100,000 views, which is still a good feed. I had it on my YouTube channel, but I'd never been viral. And people are going viral left and right on TikTok.
Viral, 1 million views, 48 hours.
That's what that's
our definition.
Yeah, that's my definition, or my company's definition. And I named Viral Edits as the name of my company. So I named it all about 1 million views. I just think it's a good benchmark because usually if you hit 1 million, it's going more than that. Like it never really just stops at 1 million. It'll continue to get views forever. But yeah, 1 million in like 24 hours is like what we've seen. The algorithm has shifted a little bit. It could take a little bit longer, but in my company, we bonus for all 1 million views, and they have to be achieved within 30 days. So that's my definition of kind of viral. But yeah, we've just seen that most people have little facets that they can pull out, and it's just phrasing in a certain way that generally gets the 18 to 25-year-old crowd angry. And I say angry loosely, or just makes them stop, makes them think, makes them, just kind of, disagree to a degree, and then they just start commenting. And then when the comments happen, the videos go through the roof.
So yeah, that was the first thing you said is like, I say something that triggers people. So that could be good, bad.
It's more like thought provoking. Okay. Like, I mean, yeah, you can go controversial and just be like, this plant isn't green when it's like clearly green. And then all the comments are gonna be like, this guy's an idiot, the plant's not, but that's not gonna drive you followers. It's like more like a controversial opinion. And we were talking about it like on the way here. I think that there's a shift on the internet to go more towards aspirational. People wanna follow somebody that's aspirational. It's not necessarily relatable, because if you look at all the most relatable people on the internet, I mean, if you look at all the people that are most followed on the internet, like just in like the business world, you have like the Hormozi, you have the Cardones, like, you have Ryan Pineda. Their life is aspirational to a lot of people. It could be, the $100 million net worth. It could be the golfing whatever he wants, getting paid for it, and owning a crap ton of real estate. It could be owning a crap ton of apartment complexes. It could be the private jets. It could be the Lamborghinis. It could be the good family life. There's all these aspirational reasons for people. And you just have to kind of look, or at least what I've gotten good at is look at what's aspirational about somebody and then hone in on that and be like, okay, so tell me how much that Rolex costs on your wrist. Because I'm looking to buy a Rolex. I think they're cool. It's aspirational. I know it's at least 15 grand. So like I aspire to buy that. Same thing with like your car. It's like, well, that Lamborghini is pretty aspirational. What do you do that you can afford that? So it's finding those things about people that make them aspirational. And it could be, I interviewed a marathon runner the other day, and like one of the videos that like it's doing okay right now is like, she was talking about how she was in a big race and somebody just shit themselves while running.
I saw that video.
I thought it was hilarious. Like,
it's actually a strategy that they use
to save time.
That was cool. Yeah.
Like that's, I don't necessarily know if that's aspirational, but that's something that's unique that only she would be able to ask a story on. But if I didn't phrase the question of, have you seen anybody shit themselves while running? The video is not going to get any views, because it would have started, if she took that video, it would have been like, so I was running in this New York, I was running in the marathon and we were like 25 miles in. And next thing you know, you lost the audience.
What was the hook on that?
Do people shit themselves while running? I mean, that was doing okay, but there's like another aspect. It's like, why'd you waste $15,000 on a watch? Like, it's not, why'd you invest in a Rolex? Like, that could be another angle. You could try that, but it's finding the obnoxious way to say something without, that still says the same thing, I guess, is the way I put it. And then it's like, how did you have a nice, basically building here with your team. It's like, why do you waste $20,000 a month on rent? And then you would explain, like, I house all my employees. So then it's like instantly scroll stopping. And I think people need to be way more aggressive on what they say in the first like 3 to 5 seconds, because the internet's busy. There's a lot of people and everybody watching it. I mean, they're scrolling while they're driving. They're scrolling while they're in line at the shopping center. They're shopping. They're just listening to videos. They're not even watching it. They're just letting it flip and they're listening to it in their ears. So you have to get people like to stop. And the only way to do that is to be aggressive.
So on these interviews that you're doing, like, why don't you just take those facts and shoot your own video with that fact?
I've seen
Why is the interview style like better?
Well, that kind of ties into the relatable aspect of it. I feel like it's more of a peek into a conversation. Like most of my content now, like we plan, like it's not just random. Like it's rapid fire questions. Like I'm asking other ones, or like, with the marathon runner in particular, she came to my studio. We had like 15. Like, I did research on her. Like, she ran like 7 marathons in 7 states and 7 countries. Like, or like it was like 777. Like, so it was a feat in itself, but like nobody cares. So like, I want her to generally get exposure.
Yeah,
because this is pretty fucking cool. And it was, how did you afford to run 7 marathons like in 7 countries in 7 days?
7 days?
Yeah. It was like a marathon a day. And on the first day,
no way.
Yeah, dude, she did it. Like, it was crazy. And on the first day, she lost 2 of her toenails. The world would never know that if I didn't just ask her questions.
Yeah.
Like, which I think is cool. That makes her, that makes her aspirational. Like, yeah, I don't think everyone wants to lose their toenails, but like that she was able to do that and she funded it herself, got a divorce in the process. Like, I like being able to bring cool shit like that to light. And if that means like I have to step away from some of the credibility, which is like, because I could refilm this. Hey, I interviewed this girl. And
would it do as well? That's what I'm asking.
I don't think it would. I think it is relatable. It's a conversation. It's kind of voyeuristic, and we're as a society fascinated with the reality TV, even though it's not reality. It's all scripted. I've just taken that mindset to, and it's also the podcast mindset, because we're going to talk for like an hour and a half, maybe longer, 2 hours, whatever, and this podcast as a whole might not get that many views, but there's going to be gems clipped out. And I'm just like, how do I skip the whole 2 hours and just go straight to the shit that's going to go viral? And then it's just asking people direct questions. And like, so like they're little mini podcasts. And then it's also cool too, because I've used it as like a tool. my goal whenever I bring somebody on, at least in my account, is to get 1 million views. And I've seen it in person. Like I did one with a facial recognition expert. Like he read faces, did it for the government. Like guy had like 200 followers on Instagram. Like, this is cool. I was like fascinated. He's like reading my face. He's doing all this shit. We made I think we made like 20 videos. Like, cause he was really good on camera. But from like the time I posted, we posted all the videos, he gained like 15,000 followers.
Wow. He did. From your post.
From my post. Like, I think I gained like 2,000 followers.
Yeah.
Like, but the guy, like, he was like super grateful. Now, like, because of that, he also connected me with Brad Lee via text. So now I have a relationship with Brad Lee because I did videos with that guy. He could, so it's like, it's also too, it's like kind of giving a voice to like regular people as well. Because I feel like the internet's like a gatekeep. Like, it's hard to get views, and if I can shed light on some cool shit because I say stuff obnoxiously, then sign me up.
So you have like, I guess a specific approach to your stuff. And we talked about this a lot, especially on the way here, how people are opposed to it. And it's the fact that you don't believe that content should be niched down. And probably most of these people that you're working with or dealing with or whatever the case is think that content needs to be niched, right? So like you have a theory that the followers don't matter where they're coming from kind of thing. And other people, for example, if I'm in marketing, I only want people following me who are in business, for example, which means I need to make business-based content. You are totally opposed to that. Like, tell me more about that.
Yeah, so I worked with one of my first clients, this girl, her name was Adley Stump. She's amazing. It's at The Adley Show. She gets, I don't exactly know how many views she gets, but at the time of us working together, she was getting like 100 million views a week on Facebook.
Adley?
Adley.
I know Adley. We did her e-commerce stuff.
Yeah, Adley's awesome. I'm actually going to film with her next week.
In Nashville?
In Nashville, yeah.
Nice.
So she was the first person that kind of, like, prior to this, I was a niche guy. I mean, I was making fashion YouTube videos. Like, I was all fashion. I was also doing like videography, but it was more for like small businesses. Like, like I had a small agency. And it was Adley.
What does that mean? Like, how much money a month?
Like 10, 15,000 a month.
Still really good.
Like, good living. Like, I was very comfortable. I had like one employee, or contractor, that.
Dude, when I was making 10, 15 a month and I only had like one person, I think I felt, I don't want to say better, but it was a great life.
Yeah, it was cool. It was simpler back then. But yeah, so I started, like, Adley was my first paying client for TikTok. And
she knows that?
She knows that.
Yeah.
Because for what she paid for 1 million followers was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because at the time, nobody was paying for TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I couldn't sell shit. And I'm a good salesman. So I was like, I had to basically take anything and get. And Adley, I pitched her $1,000 a month. And we settled on $750 a month, and I got her 1 million followers in 6 months. But what that did for me, like, it wasn't necessarily the money. Yeah, like, she paid $5,000 for 1 million followers. But what really stuck with me was she was the first person I'd ever talked to that came straight from the creator world, and she was like, because I was always like, oh, look at the metrics, like, you're gaining this many followers, and like, oh, check this out, and she's like, Ryan, I don't care about followers, and I was like, why? I don't understand. Everybody cares about followers. Followers turn followers into dollars. Like, that's what everybody does. She said, views. Views are the only thing that matters. And I was like, I didn't understand. I was like struggling with it. And she says, if you get 1 million views, followers just magically appear. If you get 1 million views and you do it repeatedly, you're always relevant. You're always getting recognized in the street. If you get 1 million views, people are always talking about you. They're always trying to take you down. They're always trying to do something. They're always, making videos about you. She said, so all we ever focus on is getting views because it's constant relevance. And I was like, that makes sense. So then I just kind of adopted that to my own personal content, and I stopped just so much talking about videography and making videos because that's all my TikTok was when I started. And I had a little bit of success. It was like, I think I had like 30,000 followers to this point because I was like the only one doing it. There was nobody else doing it. But it wasn't until I started making videos I made one video about how to make friends by going out, and the video got 5 million views. And from those 5 million views, I doubled my following. And then I made another video about tipping $100. That video got like 2 million views, and I got another 10,000 followers. And every time I had a video go viral, I got more and more followers. And I was still releasing all my old like video content too. And they were loving it too. It just wasn't getting as many views. But then the big videos would happen, and I'd get more followers. And that's been my sole focus all the way up until now. I have like 250,000 on TikTok. And I just don't focus on followers. Like, they don't matter to me because I can see it. Like, if I'm going viral on TikTok and like reels and or shorts, I can walk down the street and get recognized. Like, my followers don't really recognize me. And it's like, it was a direct correlation with somebody stopping me at the mall versus the same video that was going viral. So like, that was like the realization of like, I just need to make people relevant all the time because then they're going to pay a lot of money for that. But two, the more views I got, the more followers came. And the followers, in my opinion, are better followers because they are latching onto you as a person. It's not necessarily somebody following you for your business or your business advice, because I use this example with Ryan Fisher when I was on his I used this example with Ryan Fisher when I was on his podcast. And I said, if somebody, you know, like I do CrossFit, you know, I found Ryan Fisher through CrossFit because he had a story around CrossFit. And then because of that, he stopped doing CrossFit and he has his own program now. So I'm like, okay, so CrossFit made me, so a niche, which is CrossFit, made me find you, which is Ryan Fisher, to now I like you. Now I'm going to follow the Ryan Fisher workout program. Let's say I do that for a year. And even that's like a long time. Nobody sticks to the same workout for like a year. That's very like unheard of. After I get done with Ryan Fisher's program, even if I loved it, I'm looking for the next program. Then I might find, you know, Bradley Martin's program and then Matt Ogus's program. Like, I can go down the line, but I'm going to forget about Ryan Fisher.
Were you in the fitness space before?
I've been in a lot of spaces. I was an affiliate.
Because Matt Ogus is...
I bought macro coaching from 3DMJ, which was like who Matt Ogus recommended a long time ago.
Yeah, because I used to be super into fitness, and Matt Ogus is a name you would probably only know if you were like in
the fitness space. He was like an OG fitness YouTuber.
Yeah, he was.
But point being is like, coming back to Ryan Fisher, if you stop doing his program, unless you really like him as a person, you don't follow him anymore. But I like him
because he doesn't post any content outside of fitness.
Well, it's like, but how often, if you're not doing his full body workout anymore, why do you want to keep watching content about it?
Because, I mean, hopefully he's posting interesting content.
Well, to a degree. But when Ryan Fisher posts about his G-Wagon or his, you know, road bike, because I road cycle, he has a road bike. Now I don't need to follow his workout to follow him because he road cycles.
Yeah.
So it's like you're building followers based on your personality, which is, you know, as the term Gary Vee coined, your personal brand. Like, Gary Vee preaches niche content, but Gary Vee doesn't have niche content.
Facts.
Like, same thing with, you know, look at all of your big creators.
Wow, that's a good one, actually. I didn't even, like, put it that way.
What's Gary Vee's niche? Garage sales?
No, just fucking motivation. And
yeah,
patience.
Gary Vee reaches everybody.
Yeah.
And even his products can reach everybody. Like, his books can reach everybody. Jab, jab, right hook. Like, you don't really know what you're buying. I've read the book, so it's kind of confusing. Like,
if you read the title, you read the book. That's my opinion on that one. But
I mean, same thing with, like, you know, you look at a Cardone. Like, Cardone doesn't, his niche is what, apartments? It's like, no. Like, he runs massive events. He's got a jet. He travels a lot.
But for people that don't have that, though, like someone in fitness, right? Like, I guess fitness is a bad one because everyone needs fitness, right? Mm-hmm. But let's take me. Okay. My niche is people. There's only two people I serve. Business owners who sell stuff online, or agency owners who sell stuff for business owners that sell stuff online. Those are the only two people that I would transact with. You know, outside of like a lot of attorneys, doctors, things like that pay me for consulting calls for marketing, but like that's just me. But like my main flow of revenue is for media. That's where I'm focused on, you know, 99% of my time. Mm-hmm. So what in my case, like if I'm just posting normal content, getting just regular people as followers, is that even beneficial to me, or is that just more ego? Like, what is?
Well, I there is validity, and obviously if you have 10,000 followers and all of them are agency owners and you're making stuff about agencies, it fits that bubble. But everybody, and you know, you're in sales and you sell stuff, everybody hits this wall where your niche, like, you run out of people to sell to.
Yeah.
And that's where, and like business owners, because you are one and you do this for people, they turn to two things. Either they need to go viral or they need to pay for ads to reach more and more people. But I think that the internet's kind of twisted right now, that they're separating followers, like from like, this is a niche follower versus this is like a regular follower. It's like, to me, they're all people. And when you look at it like that, it's like, okay, for me to get 1 million views, that video has to get 500,000 people to watch the video all the way to the end. It will not go viral unless that happens. Like there's a high watch time. Of those 500,000 people, what percentage of them are agency owners?
1.
Yeah, so 1. So it's 500 people, right? Or 5,000? 5,000 people.
Yeah.
So from those 5,000, let's say you also have agency content, because I never tell people not to make niche content. I just tell them to focus on going viral. So now you have your agency content. That is, 5,000 people watch this video to end. They're like, algorithm's like, yo, people love Eddie. Let's send the people that have identified with an agency video all of Eddie's agency videos. So now you're getting those targeted followers. But then let's say of those 500,000, there's also Lamborghini owners, which is even smaller niche. But now you have all the Lamborghini owners that are watching the video that you made about your Lamborghini. Now let's say that you also have a Rolex video. Now all the business owners that own Rolexes are now watching your Rolex video. I would just much rather have this giant pool of people and let the algorithm figure out where to send my shit. Because I'm not smart enough to outsmart the algorithm. So I can't just make a video and say only 1,000 people are going to see this and they're the right 1,000 people. I think it's a bad way of looking at, like, you don't do that with ads. Like if you're spending money and with content, you're producing it, you're filming it, it's time. Like I want to reach the most amount of people possible. And any situation that I've ever been in, it's always been solved by more views or more followers. Like if you need to get more eyeballs onto a product that you're selling, what do? You pay for ads. What are ads? Eyeballs. Like
they're definitely more targeted though than my organic reach.
Slightly. Like
no, heavily, dude.
I just think that they're not. I mean, but you have a lot of data, so I'm not
gonna
like
if I'm gonna spend $100,000 a week on ads, like
when you're spending that much money though, like I just think that the categories overlap a lot more than what people think. And I think they're putting barriers on, like, because for most people, niche-based content is easier for them to make.
That's what it comes down to.
Like, so I think it's selfish.
It's like harder for me to talk about a Chipotle hack.
Yeah.
Than a marketing trick.
Mm-hmm. But the niche-based videos are also the ones that are the least amount of fun to make too. Like, and you make enough of them and you hate making videos. Like,
yeah,
if you make 365 agency videos, you're going to hate agency videos by the end of the year.
I'm going to be out of content probably too.
And there's also, there's like the content fatigue that nobody seems to talk about. Like, let's say that Gary Vee's only niche was garage selling. Unless he built an entire business of going to garage sales every single weekend, he's going to run out of content. Because you can only tell people to buy stuff low and sell it high and how to do it on eBay and Facebook Marketplace. How many videos can you make about that? I think people should rely more on their personal stories and opinions for the virality, because opinions are what's going to make people go viral. I mean, look at politics. Like, politics as a whole is viral because it's two differentiating opinions. And then they clash. So if you force people to divide in some way, the video is going to get views. And I think that, unless you have some very, and there are those broad scope niches, like, yes, finance. Everybody in America has a wallet.
Yeah.
So that's not really a niche. It's more like a lifestyle.
That's why I had to be careful about who I pick.
Yeah.
Like fitness, I feel like, is one of those. Finance is one of those.
Same thing. Yeah. Fitness, finance. Even fashion kind of goes into lifestyle because everybody wears clothes, which is why if you look at some of the larger YouTube channels for more niche base, fashion and lifestyle is a huge thing. Like the women get ready with me. So, I mean, if you fall into one of those categories, yes, you could get a lot of views from your niche per se. But again, it's like all the people preaching niche content, if they look at the videos that have the most views, I guarantee you it's like sprinkled in that it's not 100% a niche-based video. Like, I make videos about video editing because I want to establish myself as an expert of video editing. But what's going to make me a better video editor is to go viral. So I need to figure out also how to go viral. And I just think most people, they're like, I'm a niche-based creator, and then they stay there forever, and I think their income reflects that.
Yeah. Great points, dude. And something we were talking about, because this is on that same topic. I was telling you, like, what I notice is the videos that get the most shit in the comments are the ones that get me the most followers. And so my theory is, and you can elaborate on it, is that when videos go viral, the comment section is all just, for the most part, going to be people just hating. It's going to be shit comments telling you you're stupid. Who's this idiot? We need less of this guy. I mean, I got a fucking roster here for you if you want the list. And I'm sure you've seen it. But ironically, like, I'll get thousands of followers from those videos. And what I believe is, like, the followers are the people who are quiet, who don't want to just go shit on comments or even spread positivity on comments. Sometimes they're just watchers, but they're like, I like what this guy's saying. I like this dude's content. I'm down to watch more of it. Let me follow him. You know what I mean? As opposed to everyone else who's like hating in the comment section. Like from the outside looking in, you'd be like, dang, this guy has, 500,000 views on this video and all the comments are just destroying him. This sucks. But on the back end, I'm like, dude, I got 7,000 followers from this video. Fuck it. Keep the comments going. And so that's ironically why I'll engage with a lot of the hate comments, because I know I can spark more comments. And it's funny because I shifted my strategy from like these random haters of trying to help them. So I used to be like, hey man, that's not the best way to think. You should think like this, all this stuff. One, I noticed it got me nowhere. Okay. And it just wasted my time. And two, it didn't like contribute to the virality. If you really think about it, even though it made me look like a good person, it didn't help. So now what I do is the exact opposite. I say like, this tells, your comment tells me how poor you are. And then I'll get 100 likes on that instead of me being nice and trying to explain to him. You know what I mean? So like when I'm more ruthless, I get more comments. That turns into a thread of like 50 other shitheads basically commenting. Yep. And it just helps the video more. So like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, I know you always say two things that I hear you say. One, like you have anticipation of shit that's going to be in the comments. And do you feel like my evaluation is fair? And number two, you target non-followers more than followers. Like you always say like, I don't even care that my followers see this. I just want non-followers to see my content. Is that right?
Yeah. And that's a metric. I mean, one, you're spot on. Like to address that, like, it goes back to what I was saying about content needs to be divisive in a way that, in most people's opinions, are divisive. Like by you saying in the comment, like you're too poor to understand. Like that's a divisive comment.
Very divisive. And I would never write that. My wife, by the way, she gets tense. She's like, Eddie, like,
yeah, I wouldn't recommend engaging because you can't stop it. Like, but it's also when you see virality enough, and I've seen it like well over 1,000 times on every different platform. It's like, it's all the same. The comments start going and they're going to dictate like where this video is going to go. But you can also like dictate how something's going to be received based on what you've seen in previous videos from the comments. And that's why I think we spend a lot of time doing that, like, and kind of studying that after videos are posted. Like myself, and I know Luis, who works with me, he does the same thing. Like I say something knowing how the community is going to react in the comments. And that community is not my followers. Like it's not my friends, like in their commenting. It's, people that do not know me hear this are going to say this, and that's, if that can happen, it's enough. It's attention grabbing enough to get shared. And like, to go back to what you were saying, you'll look at a video with like hundreds of like just angry people hating, but then you look at the share button and there's like 10,000 shares. Like 10,000 people aren't going to share a video and go, this fucking video sucks, dude. Check it out. Send. It's like, no, they like the video. And then the percentage is going to follow you. And the ones that follow you, generally speaking, aren't the ones that are commenting anyways. Yeah, you might get a few positive comments here and there, like from people that actually give a shit about you and like all your stuff. But in the most part, it's all going to be hate. And then the reason that, again, following, kind of going back to what I was talking about with Adley Stump, like when she kind of said views are the only thing that mattered, it was kind of like a light bulb moment. Because then when you look at the analytics, and I don't think people look at their analytics, they may say they do, but when you look at your analytics, whether it's on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Facebook Reels, or Instagram Reels, there's the key metric that is followers versus non-followers. And on my biggest months of getting the most followers, the most views, the non-followers that see my content is like 99%. Yeah. So I could get, 10 million views and 9 million of them, or 9,500,000 of them, or 500,000 are non-followers, and the other 500,000 are my followers. Like, and it's like that on every platform. So it's like, with that mindset, it's like, if you have a winning ad that's working, where do you put all your money? Into the one ad that's working. So if I make content just for my followers, that tells me that it's just not going to get that much reach. Yes, you don't want to like alienate them and never make them happy, but you want to put all your effort into the people that don't know you. And that's the nature of short form content. It's purely interruptive. It's like, you do ads. It's like short form. Every single video we put out, it's like a cold ad, because you don't know where that person on the other end is going to see it. They could be taking a shit. They could be driving in their car. They could be in the line at 7-Eleven waiting to pay. They could be in the middle of college classes. They could be walking across the street, zoned out on their phone, about to get hit by a car. Like, you don't know. So it's purely interruptive, and you have to take people that don't know who you are and then pull them in and then make them watch a whole video, which isn't the easiest thing to do. And I think that people, if more people focus on that, all your followers are going to see all your content at that point, because your followers are going to see your stuff regardless. Because if a video is going viral, they're going to start seeing all your stuff because the algorithm's going to show your shit everywhere. So by focusing on the non-followers, you learn how to develop high watch time. And that's how you actually make great videos.
So what are your thoughts on making like burner accounts? Not burner accounts, but clip accounts?
I think it's good. It's just, it's for most people, it's like, focus your effort on one account. Like, it's hard enough. Like, it took me 2 years to get my TikTok from 0 to almost 250,000. It took me, I say it took about 2 years to get to 100K and like 6 months to get from 100 to 200. So like once the momentum is there, like the snowball starts rolling down the hill faster and faster. And then we see this in clients' accounts all the time. It's like most people don't hit critical mass on one account to then, yes, there is strategy and volume, but I've always considered, like myself and my company, one, for scalability reasons. It's impossible to scale massive amounts of quantity. It's very challenging, but it's easier to scale. Like I call ourselves snipers, not machine guns. So it's like, if we post a video every day, we have 30 chances to go viral this month, on average, sometimes 31, sometimes 29. But point being is, of those 30, 4 of those should be going viral, and that's 1 a week. And that's like a benchmark that I've set for the company. So how do we control everything we can control in those 30 videos? Which is, do we film with the person? Do we help them with what to say? Do we make up the topics? Do we help, do we try different editing styles? Like, I can control all that. But like with clip accounts and podcast accounts, I can't control how that person said something. And I think that this is inherent.
But isn't that kind of the point of them? It's like, just let it loose. Like, I know Andrew Tate did it well. I know Iman Ghodsi did it well. Mm-hmm. I know Supercar Blondie has like dozens of editors whose only job is to cut shit and post from her old content into clip accounts and just like, boom. And here's why I asked this is because like, I have a belief, whether false or true, that I'm like blacklisted or blackmarked in a way on my account itself. I've seen a lot of signs, and I know I'm like banned on ads, I'm banned on certain things, and I feel like that contributes because even me, like I'll post some clips, like for example, the 3-pointer Chipotle clip, and I was like, home run, like guaranteed.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Million views guaranteed. Like this has gotta rip. It's an easy one. Fell flat compared to like other videos that I thought would do a lot less. And there's dozens of instances like that. Obviously, there's a lot of things I could be doing better, which you've talked to me about, like hiring you. But then Nate over here wouldn't have a job. Poor Nate. So
Hi, Nate.
you guys can hash that out together. But I say that to say, like, doesn't that kind of like eliminate that disadvantage in a way, if it is a thing, like having 15 different accounts posting for me and like people seeing a clip and I'm tagged in the comments, like, or in the description.
Yeah, I mean, in your case, like, I mean, you still get views, so I would argue that you're probably not shadow banned, like, which is the term, like, But
I've never had 1 million views on my account.
On
my personal account, yeah.
Well, we could look at so there. In your case, because you run heavy ads, there might be something up with your account.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why I'm hesitant, like, to, like, if I get to the point if I'm running ads, like, I'm hesitant on boosting. I'm hesitant
once you cross that line.
Yeah.
I Facebook understands you're going to spend money and they start throttling your organic.
And I would not discern Mark Zuckerberg's company from doing that. Like, I feel like that's just an unspoken thing that happens. But for most people, I think, like, it's just tough to manage a lot. Like, I mean, the Supercar Blondie, I've seen a lot of her stuff. Same thing with Aman. I know the person behind Aman. Like, I'm friends with him. Super smart guy, but he was managing like 60 editors, and Aman was spending like $50,000 to $70,000 a month for that to happen. Like, yes, you get to a point where, like, okay, if you can afford that, I'd say, fuck yeah, you can't, like, there's no limit. Like, just create new accounts. But it's also like we do a similar strategy for one of our clients, and we call them pods. We run 3 separate pods. So it's like a triangle. Everything leads back to like his main 3 accounts, which is Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, his YouTube. But then we have 2 other like trios, which is just Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts. And we put the same amount of effort into all 3 of those. And he got 26 million views last month on his main account. The side accounts one got like 4 million views. The other one got like 2 million views. If we drop those and just put all those videos on his main account, I feel like his main account would do equally as good.
Fair.
And that's, I think, everybody like Aman and Tate, I think are slightly unique in a lot of abilities. One, their speaking ability is incredible. Not everybody can speak. Because even when I'm doing this podcast, like I'm doing it because I want to clip these. So I'm speaking my responses in a way that I know my editors are going to be able to find these podcasts. I'm also saying shock value things that can give me hooks. Like Tate spoke in hooks. He said a lot of outlandish things and he said a lot of aggressive things that got attention. So does Aman. Like I think that that's part of their personality and that's who they are. For somebody else to come in and expect to get, the same amount of output from like one effort on a podcast, I think is just, there's no possible way it would happen. I think those 2 in particular are very unique in their speaking abilities and how they say things. Mm-hmm. Like that, I don't think, unless you practice it, and how do you practice it? You film more and more videos. But then it comes back to the same amount of money being spent. I would rather it just be spent in me just sitting there filming and spitting out as many direct for platform videos as I possibly could, because going back on like controlling what we can control, what you can control, I can control how I say things if I'm filming with the camera in front of me. I can't control how I'm going to say something if you're asking me a question, or if, I'm in the middle of answering something and then you trail off on something else and then we come back later. It doesn't make complete clips. But I know if I hit record, in 3 minutes I can make a complete clip. And then that goes to the editor. How many times a day can I do that? How many editors can I hire? Like in essence like that, I think that's a great strategy. But just relying on podcasts, I think it's just, I mean, look at the greats. Like you look at Joe Rogan. Like I follow Rogan podcasts. I follow the Nelk Boys. I follow a lot of like the big podcasts. Like the Nelk Boys are the most aggressive on posting clips, in my opinion. They post like 9 per podcast, and that's it. And I'm going to assume that whoever Nelk Boys has clipping them is pretty fucking good. Like, because the Nelk Boys know the importance of that.
They know content.
Yeah. And they're
Plus their podcast is kind of shit in my opinion.
Yeah.
They just have really good guests.
But they're doing, let's say 10 clips from a 2-hour podcast. How many podcasts do you have to do to get 30 clips? If you're not as good or have as high level guests as the Nelk Boys.
Yeah, yeah.
Same thing with Rogan. Rogan, I think, is like 3 or 4 for every podcast that goes on JRE Clips. Rogan talks for 3 hours. I don't know if it's Jamie that does that. I don't know the infrastructure on Rogan's team, but that person is like, what in this 3-hour video can go viral?
They probably clip like 15, 20.
And then
they're like, okay, here's like the 3, 4 that are actually going to bang.
So it's like, like maybe if you're podcasting 5 days a week, 2-3 times a day, like Joe Rogan, maybe it's a good strategy.
Is he doing that many? He doesn't.
I don't know.
No way, bro.
I mean, that's a lot.
That's excessive. Yeah, there's no chance.
I mean, I don't know the cadence, but
I would say like maybe 2-3 a week.
If what we see for the average person in a 1-hour podcast is 3 to 5 clips that have potential to do decent.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 has viral capacity. Yeah. And when I say capacity, it means that it was spoken with a good hook. Because when you're in a casual conversation, you're not saying, how much is that Rolex?
Yeah.
Like your tonality doesn't increase, your energy doesn't go up. You're just like, oh, I see you have a Rolex. It's like, that's a lot less boring.
Yeah, super dull.
Yeah, so it's like that, and the good thing about the casual conversation is it flows really good. So it's a good conversation, but it doesn't have hooks. And I see that being a huge problem for most people when they start with like, the Gary Vee model. I hate to reference Gary so much, but like, film 1 long form piece, chop it down into into 2 to 3 minute clips, 2 to 3 minute clips into, 30-second TikToks.
When that works the most though is when it's not when it's podcast, but like when it's like a live setting that's happening. Like for example, Nate comes with me when I give speeches, and like if we're doing like round tables where it's like sit around and ask Eddie questions, dude, those clips, they always have the most views. They always have like 300K plus on my account, because it's just like me sitting at a table talking to someone else, giving them advice on some problem or question. And it's usually controversial because off camera, my opinion's probably controversial to most people. It probably offends them, but it's the real, genuine opinion. You know what I mean? And those clips do the best for me. So I do think the shoot an hour of footage and do that is good. But Gary Vee, I think, came from a background of, what is it? Not create, but document.
Document.
Yeah, document. So like, I think that's why it works, because he's going around, he's talking for an hour. He probably has 20 pieces of good advice he's giving people. You know what I mean?
It's also too, Gary lives a life worth documenting. Like not I don't.
Very true.
Like my day's boring. I'm assuming, yours got more exciting when you bought a Lamborghini.
That's
but
it
like,
though. My day's just the same.
Yeah, most people live boring, normal lives. Like Gary Vee, it's like he could be in, New York City, in a car service in New York City going to a keynote at like AdWorld, and then he's on a private jet to Monaco to give a presentation to the head of F1, and then he's back to go have breakfast the next day with a soccer player. Like, who lives that?
Yeah.
Like Gary Vee is he's a unicorn in that, right? And yeah, when you're doing something that's always worth documenting, then I would say that document over creating works. But then even you take the most successful people, the most interesting people, like, I look at Cardone as well, because I have a working relationship with Cardone and his team. Like, he lives a pretty interesting life. Like, it's valid for somebody to be following him, but then you take somebody like me, like, yeah, I like think my shit's really cool, but like yesterday I went to a barbecue. And then I went home and we did landscaping and
yeah.
But today was cool. Yeah, I woke up at 5 a.m. I got showered. I took an Uber. I'm here. I'm doing a podcast. I'm going to Miami tonight. I'm filming with a cool client tomorrow and Thursday, Brandon Carter. And then I'm driving home. Like, one of my employees meet me there and I'm driving home. Like, I know Friday I'm just going to hang lights in my back porch because I have a party on Saturday. I need to get that shit done. Like, so it's like, and it's also the expense of that, because you're not going to get somebody to document your whole life without paying for that person to document. So it's like, do you see the value in your life being documented too?
Is your life valuable enough to document that it's worth paying someone else?
Because you're not going to get somebody to drop everything and follow you around 40 hours. And it's 40 hours plus per week, because like there's no shutting off. Like, that's another thing about vlogging that people don't know. It's like, it doesn't stop. Like, and if somebody's filming you, it's like, how many times you'd be like, oh, I should have had so-and-so here to get that. Then you're going to have them there and you'll be like, it's a 24-hour job for that person, for the filmers. Like, so, which probably, I'm guessing, like, I don't have a filmer. I pay people to film me, like, when we're in the studio because they work with me. But, like, I'm assuming that's a 6-figure position to have somebody follow you around all day. Like, that's
probably not, honestly.
You might be able to get more of a mentorship approach. Or
not even that. Think about it. A lot of times on these trips, like, you're an expense in itself. Like, it's definitely a 6-figure expense.
Yeah.
But I don't think the person's being paid 6 figures. Like, getting someone a flight everywhere you go every time, like even just taking Nate with me to like a speech for 2-3 days cost me an extra $2,000. You know what I mean? Not even paying for a ticket there, just like flying, hotel, food.
Yeah, because you as a business owner, you're like, I'll take care of you when you're here, like, because that's the right thing to do.
It's like, and the bare minimum is $2,000. Like sometimes it's more. So like, if I take Nate with me to 15 things a year, we're talking, no matter how you spin it, it's going to be about 50 racks just to have him, not even a salary, just to have him like be there.
Just be there. And then you got to, and then the good ones are probably your editor as well, or at least to a degree, or they started there, they're filming and editing, because those are generally the best people. You need the fully like I think one thing that makes my company, like, and what we do unique is because I'm like obviously the figurehead for my company, and I'm a creator who goes viral. I'm also a video editor, and I'm also a videographer. So it's like a trio. I'm a triangle of like skill sets. Most people, when you're trying to find somebody, especially for that type of position, is either a really good filmer, decent editor, but then they've never made any content for themselves, or you have somebody that's really good at making content, isn't a good editor, but it's a good filmer. It's very hard to find all three, because to find all three, generally speaking, they have their own followings and they have their own businesses, and they're not for hire.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, but then they might also be lacking the monetization skill set, which is the ones you want to look for if you're trying to find somebody really good to be a filmer, editor / like really good person.
We were talking about this on the way here, though. It's really hard running a business.
Yes.
Like you were saying, I tell my editors, dude, just take the $4 or $5K a month, and it's worth. Trust me, it's going to be a lot easier life than having to go do your own thing.
I think with it, especially now, like short form, there's a lot of people that started short form agencies, which is where I can directly relate into because it's what I do. I mean, I almost kind of created the space per se when nobody was doing it. But when it comes to like, once you hit 4 or 5, 6 clients, like things get crazy. And as video editors, like that could be because when I started, like I knew from the start that I wanted to have a company. Like I was like, this is going to make me rich. I'm going to get a lot of people. Like I'm going to blow this shit up. I didn't know what it looked like yet, but that was like my mindset.
But it wasn't your first company.
No, it wasn't my first, it wasn't my first business. Like it was my first time I had really not employees, I have contractors, so I haven't W2.
Well, how long had you been making money?
Like 8 years I was making money on the internet.
Yeah, exactly.
Prior to this happening.
Okay, that's very important for people to understand too.
And most of all of that was driven by my face, making videos and or writing emails or selling some way through the
pics,
internet. OnlyFans before it existed. But when it came to starting the short form agency, it was, okay, I knew that myself as an editor, I'm capable of editing. And this is how I determined it. I said, how many videos can I edit per day? And for me, it was 5. I was editing 5 videos a day, 7 days a week, basically before I could get help. Now, at the time, like if you're bringing on clients today and the price is at, like I have a huge part in like establishing because of what I charge and what clients pay and videos I've made, you're going to get 3 to 5K per client on average. So let's say you're on the low end and you're getting 3K because maybe you don't have experience. So you're getting 3K for 5. So you're making $15,000 a month, which is fucking amazing. But you're editing 5 videos a day, 7 days a week, which the way that we edit videos, they take on average an hour and a half to 2 hours to complete. So you're editing for 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. How long can you do that before you lose your fucking shit? Like, then you have to hire.
You can't miss a single hour a single day or you're fucked.
No, well, that's the thing, because as a video editor, something that most people don't understand about being a video editor is the creator or the business owner or the influencer. They don't give a shit about the editors. The good ones do, but to a lot of like smaller scale business owners, they're just like, I just need videos. I need them every day. Gary Vee said post as much as possible. Like, and that's the mindset. But the editor is a real human being who's operating on a mass amount of creativity, and they only have a certain amount of creativity that they can expel every single day. Well, it's like, if you're a client, you want to be video 1 or 2 that day because 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is going to be really fucking shitty. Like, especially if they've been doing it for a long period of time. And then you as the business owner are like, well, I have to post every day. So then you start posting every day and it's 7 days a week. Now you're posting. Now the video editor has to post a video every day. The video editor doesn't get a day off because the video editor becomes the social media manager until you get to a point where you can afford multiple people. So the video editor is now filming with you in a lot of cases, or watching hours of your content to find clips, editing those said clips. And he's doing that for multiple clients because he's like, I can have an agency, I can get rich. And then the editor, so then what happens is the quality of the videos start decreasing because he just physically can't keep up with it. He's missing days here and there, so the clients start dropping. And or he never misses a day, but the quality is really shitty because all he can allot is 1 hour per video now. So he's got to do it really fast. So there's no effort put in the videos, which directly correlates to the videos not getting views anymore. Business owner, influencer, creator goes, fires said editor, brings in a new one, same thing happens. So like the problem is like, for what I had to focus on most was training people and training editors or paying them enough to where they would say, fuck their shit and come work for me.
Well, that's the thing. Training them is very important because just because you can edit doesn't mean you can make videos go viral or understand those concepts. And even me, dude, with our editing team, like I'll still get shit and I'm like, this hook sucks. We need to change, like cut out the first 5 seconds, just like basic shit that you would see just watching it. And I feel like that's just something like I'm surprised more editors aren't trained on nowadays, especially being that social media is like such a prominent thing in today's world. And you're not really editing for cinematography type videos anymore. You're editing for social media type videos more than anything. And like the lack of understanding of like how important a hook is and just that entire concept of triggering on a hook is beyond me of how it's impossible. I mean, we interview dozens of editors every single week. And like, it's just, I don't know. I'm surprised. Like, people will shoot us a video, will be like, cut this into something, and then they'll shoot it, and there'll be a clear, obvious hook in that video that, like, I hope to God he uses it so I can hire him. and they won't. They'll just take the clip the way it is, add captions, add music, and they think like that's a good clip now. Like, but it's so much more than that.
Or they might not have even edited that. They might have just sent it overseas and paid like $10 to a Filipino to do it for them. And that's another huge problem that creators and business owners are facing. And that's not saying, like, most of my team right now, like half of them are from overseas.
And they're probably sick.
And but they're paid, they're all paid in USD. Like, I don't save any money going overseas like that. I mean, I pay a little bit less because it's just, I don't have to pay as much over it, you know, but I still have all American editors, like what I consider my best, overseeing all the videos coming in, to where like 2 of my main editors now do not edit, and they revise and critique, like live critiques of the videos being edited that come out. And I think that there's, you know, and the only reason these 2, and they're actually 2 women, they're both awesome. I don't know. I haven't had a guy do that job good yet. And I put a lot of people in that place too. They're very detail oriented. Like, one thing too is like misspellings. Like, there's a lot of, like, beyond the hooks, there's also a lot of stuff that clients get pissed off about. Like, we deal with a lot of imagery issues because the clients that we work with are so big. You can't just pick a photo and put it in a video because the client could get a cease and desist. Like, which has happened multiple times because, again, we're pumping out so many videos. And even though I have a very good pulse on everything that's coming in and out, videos still slip through with, like, you know, a copyrighted image here and there that you know, not to talk to, like, a Filipino found from Google and just put it in a video. So like, there's a lot of other things too. I think that going overseas, like, you deal with a culture difference, you deal with like the tonality difference. They don't edit with slang and like an American like slang to their videos. Yeah. Like, it's very, and you
can tell in the captions on the video sometimes.
Yeah. And I mean, there's the, you know, I make videos, the Hormozi reel, or I make videos like this, or like I can do videos like Cardone or Pineda. Like, I still get DMs like that. And I was like, you know, they're all my clients. Like, it's just odd to me that that's still like, but then I think video editors as a whole don't have any accountability as far as their videos producing results. And until creators start paying them for results, I don't think that'll ever change, because the only other way that the video editor can get that is if they start an account for themselves and they are actually, you know, editing videos basically for the love of editing videos or themselves to learn what a good hook is.
I mean, if my editors actually got me 1 million views a video, I would easily bonus for that.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. But it's, you know, statistically, it doesn't happen. Like, we factor
I get it, but like even 500K.
Yeah.
Like, you give me 500K a video, I'll gladly give you a couple $100.
Yeah. That's, you know what I mean? But I think, you know, with me, like, where we're going with my agency is, I want the bare minimum retainer, and I want performance. You know, I want $1,000 for every video that goes to $1 million. Yeah. Because I know what that's worth to the creator. Yeah. Like, especially the ones that we work with that have an established business behind them. You know, so, but most editors would be like, that would terrify them. And that's why I'm a big believer in editing videos for free to get certain results, because most everybody that can pay these types of prices for editors are also, they have established businesses behind them, but they also have in-house teams. Like, they have people doing this for them already. So, you know, and you're not going to fire your whole team and hire an agency. It probably just won't happen. You're looking for somebody like, you know, so if somebody wanted to work with you, that the move would be, okay, Eddie, give me 60 days. I'm going to edit 60 videos, and I want to beat your views. Same thing that, like, you say probably to a client, where you're like, whatever your baseline is now, whatever over, that's what I want to base my new salary off of. But that's 60 days you're committing to one person to do. Like, that, I mean, as a business owner, would you say no to that?
I'd probably do it.
Yeah. So I think, but that's,
like, with a reevaluation after 30 days.
Yeah, I mean, do it 30 days. Like, I would, you know, if you're good, you can do something in 30 days.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and that would be a good way. But then you're working in addition to a team. and or you're coming into a more established organization, which as a video editor, that's a lot easier than starting an agency. I promise you that. And you're probably going to be able to negotiate more money than if you were just freelancing for a bunch of different agencies. But I think that there still is a problem with, creator to editor expectation and output as far as creativity, because, not an editor's just a human. It's not AI yet. It's not 100% AI. So like you're going to deal with creativity, mood swings. And I think that like we do the best that I can, at least to keep my editors happy about editing. Like we do 4 videos a day, 5 days a week, weekends off, but there's like a mandatory, they do 2 videos and then they take a break. They do 2 more videos. And a lot of them take breaks in between each video.
But they're cutting these, like they're finding the clip. Right?
No, I have separate people that find clip and edit clip. And I think they're 2 different skill sets.
But that's only because you don't want to pay the people who edit the clip as much as people who find the clip.
Well, no, it's more or less like they get paid. Like the finding of the clip is just more of a, like you have to have an eye for that. I mean, they both pretty much make the same. The clips is designated by output, and they make $10 to $20 per clip. Mm-hmm. So they're unlimited and it's also clients too. Like again, like when new clients come to me, I would rather directly film them because it's more efficient and I can control the output more. When you integrate, like we call them timestamps, like now they're scouring the internet for your clips. There's a lot of variables. You may not like how you looked a year ago. So if my timestamper found 5 clips from a podcast from a year and a half ago and you think you look fat, you're going to kibosh those clips. And then Ryan just wasted $250.
Yeah.
Like that happens all the time.
Yeah.
The quality on that podcast wasn't that good, but the timestamper still got paid. The editor edited it. Client sees it. No, I can't have that. Oh, like I just,
You should probably get this approved first then.
Like, well, that's the thing. I've found if I allow approval first, it's a nightmare for my company. Like I've established enough trust with a lot of my clients that like, look, I'm not going to tarnish your brand. Like that's not my goal. My goal is just get you views. And I end up learning enough about them to know like where the threshold of like what I can push as far as what we can post. Because certain people, even if they say it on a podcast, they don't want that shit clipped. Which I don't really understand. If I say something on a podcast, clip the fuck out of it because I said it. Like I'm not going to hide from that. But we deal with that a lot. But when it comes to like the approval, because the creator, influencer, business owner is way more emotional about their content than I am and or my team.
True.
Because we're looking at it from, does this video have viral potential? Is it editing a way that's going to get attention?
And I'm looking at, do I look good? Or am I sure I want to say this out loud and go viral with it?
Oh, I mentioned my mom, and I can't have her watching this. So we post the videos for them, and we mandatory make them leave them for 48 hours. Because in 48 hours, and this happened with one of our mutual friends, Onyx Singal. He had a thing with me. He's like, I just don't want my wife, in any of my videos. And which I don't put my fiance in a lot of my stuff, nor do I put my daughter, and I totally understand that. But he had mentioned her on a podcast, and it got clipped. And then it was like, my editors are, good researchers, so they found a picture from Onyx Facebook.
So they put the photo over.
They put the current photo, and it happened to be on a time when Onyx didn't have social media on his phone. Video got posted. It was his first, I think 5 million video on YouTube Shorts.
Wow.
He said, had I seen that right when it was posted, I would have deleted it immediately.
But now that it has 5 million.
But now that it has 5 million views, we can post it. We can talk about it as well.
That's how it is.
So I mean, these are just things that the longer I've been in business and doing this, I'm like, okay, we have to give it 48 hours. Trust that I'm not going to post anything on your behalf that's going to, tarnish your brand. I mean, I feel like we act as a filter because a lot of people like Cardone specific, he'll just go rogue and post videos, and we're like, "Don't delete that shit. It's gonna fuck up the whole account." He loves his guns. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
And those are wildly against TikTok's terms of service. So we actually end up policing the clients and hey, this is a great video. While I may believe in those beliefs as well, I don't think this is good for TikTok. So it's there's also a level of responsibility from the creator to editor to be like, I trust you. don't make me look bad. You know, which you're not going to get that if you're paying $2,000 a month to somebody in the Philippines.
Makes sense.
It's just not going to happen.
A team building topic, because you talked about this for a bit. First of all, I just want to say, I think gender matters a lot for the job role that you're going to be working for. Okay.
100% agree.
I don't give a fuck what anyone says. Hiring discrimination laws, all this shit, whatever. At the end of the day, project manager, someone who needs to be a detail-oriented, organized person, communicator, etc. 9 out of 10 times, just to be fair, 9 out of 10 times, that's a better female job role than it is for a male job role at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Doing like running ads and having to be a little bit creative out of the box and looser, but also kind of organized and spending big budgets. I've noticed guys work better in those job roles, for example. Copywriting, 50-50. It just depends on, is this person working on female brands? Are they working on male brands, et cetera, down the middle? And I think so many people don't understand that it's important that this gender is in this job role. I think they lose a lot of optimization and efficiency in their business. And I even see it in some of my friends, most successful companies that my friends have, 27 out of 30 of them are females because they are more organized, and that specific business that they have has to do a lot with detail-oriented organization type stuff. And on the other end, I see friends who have, you know, just because they're guy owners and they have guy friends and they just rolled into that, 99% of their company is guys. It's a shit show a lot of the time. So how are you guys managing this? Oh, we use this sheet over here. No, that's not going to work. You know what I mean? So I do think gender plays a big part into that. I'm not saying like if I had a guy who was way better at this job role than the girl, that I would take the girl just because she's a girl. You know what I mean? There are outliers at the end of the day, but just law of averages here, I think that is 100% true. And I think a lot of people as business owners neglect that and are just so oblivious to it. Whereas I remember at one point, you know, I don't even know if I can say this online because of how fucking shit hiring laws are, but like I was like all in favor of like girl for this role, say I, and like the whole room raised their hand. Definitely girl, definitely girl. You know what I mean? Like we just know that this role needs a girl, you know? And so just kind of a tangent. I don't want to interrupt you on that, going back to it. Let's go into team building. How are you getting all these editors? I know we have a lot of difficulty getting editors that are really good. Like I said, they may be good at editing, but they don't understand the kind of editing that we want. So what are you doing differently to be able to do that?
Yeah, so I mean, just a second. Like I've had very good experience with women video editors, and I have good experience with men as well. But what I would say the lead editor, I mean, they literally are the senior creative editors in my company are both women, and the reason that they are there is like the quality control was just so much better. Even for me, like I look at like I have a girl Savannah, like. My whole goal with Savannah, I said, Savannah, I want to clone you. I want all of the editors' videos that you touch to look just like Savannah. And, you know, that's not to discredit Kim, because I know she's probably going to watch this and clip it too. Like, Kim is amazing too. But their attention to detail, and there was just always, like, with Savannah, is like, she was like my aesthetic editor. Like, yes, she's not as aggressive as, like, some of my male editors that go, like, straight for the jugular when it comes to a hook. Like, she'll be a little more reserved. I think that's part of, like, and that's also personality based too.
Yeah.
But she's also done some pretty aggressive shit too to get me views. So, but in learning that and just kind of seeing how this played out, I've just found that the women video editors, like their aesthetics just tend to be a lot more predictable. Grammatical errors are almost non-existent. Organization, as far as like submitting videos on time, going through them, like time of contact, like send a video, hey, this needs to be changed, client doesn't like it, send it. It's very fast. Whereas like with guys, it was just pure chaos at all the time. Now, some of the biggest videos in my company are edited by some of the guy editors, like because they're very aggressive on the hooks, and aggressive with the editing style. It's more like fast paced in your face. Whereas like the women are more kind of like arts, I would say artsy. Like it's just so it's hard to explain. It's like, you know, as an editor, I'm sure people understand. But that I just wanted to touch that. Like, and then same thing with like operations. I had a male operator and it just didn't end well. There's it's just I don't want to tarnish anybody's name, but like it just didn't work out. I hired, I mean, honestly.
Oh, is this your recent operator?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then I brought in a woman,
rough situation.
like another. Her name's Ariana. She's awesome. I met her through CrossFit. Like from day one, she was detail oriented, very punk. Like, I mean, this is a funny story. Like, I'm a guy, like I'm at this, when I brought her in like 3 months ago now, I think we had 13 people. And I brought her in, and I met her through CrossFit, and she's like, oh, my name's, she was like, obviously just finished a workout, like their group classes. So it was like, sweaty, like, and she's like, oh, my name's, Ariana, like, I'm very interested in working for your company, so-and-so. Jen told me a lot about it, which is another girl that like I was trying to hire too. And I said, yeah, just meet me at this coffee shop. And she showed up full business casual, like resume and cover letter. And I'm there, sleeveless shirt, drinking a coffee on my laptop. And I'm looking at this resume and cover letter going, the fuck is this? Like, I had never seen this before in my life, So, but like, again, just in the detail and attention on like that was like, and then I see it in my own fiance who just took a promotion and had to do the same thing. Like, and it was funny because I showed the resume and cover letter to my fiance. Like, do you think I should hire? Like, what do you think? I think she's really good. And she looked at the resume and cover letter. She's like, she's really good. You can't afford her. Like, and I was like, yes, I can, but point being is like, she came in and it was all organization, which was just what we needed because it was so chaotic. But to answer your question, like it took her to kind of come in, and then I have, Savannah and Kim are two like lead editors. Like Ariana worked with Savannah, which is just something I was trying to do for a while. And I just couldn't succeed at it. Like it just wasn't my strength. It's like, how do I get Savannah's brain into like an SOP? But Ariana was like, they did calls every day. And now we have a 2-week, like we didn't hire anybody for a while. So I would say we're very slow at bringing on new editors right now. Like we had a 30-day process. Now we've cut that down to 14 days to where, but it's 14 days. It's like every hour of this editor's day for the next 14 days is accounted for. Like you're doing this needs to be submitted by here. This is here. Then you're getting on a call here. Then we're doing this. They're doing this. And then I've actually started working with a company that does like, placements from the Philippines, more because they train them really well. Like they've been to all of my events, like the husband and wife that run the staffing agency, they've been to all my events. So they trained their pool of editors off of my system, like my style and like what we do. So, but they're still not good enough to plug right in. Like they still take that first one took 30 days. We're on to the second one now. And like, I think we got it down to about 14. But it's more like, we have to build them. Like they're not just coming, and I mean, I'm like what I would say very competitive pay. Like most of my editors, like, it varies whether or not, because everybody comes in like, we call them creative editors, which are, the not lower tier. They're just like, we have creative editors and then senior creatives, and seniors are like the lead editors. They're the ones that are overseeing. They're not really editing anymore, but they're overseeing everybody else underneath them. They have teams, like it's very established.
I'm sure they're re-editing some things.
Oh yeah. Well, we had to get them. We've done a lot with the revision process to kind of, because they were basically just re-editing, like whole videos for editors. Not all the editors. I don't want to make, like I know my team watches a lot of my stuff. So like I'm very happy with the group that I have right now. But I mean, they're all paid, $3,000 to $6,000 a month with bonuses, like heavily incentivized for every video to get views. And I think, there's a lack of editors right now that doesn't understand storytelling, but they understand how to subtitle. And like, there's a difference.
AI can do that now though. So they're about
to get, so I think you'll see but then there's also like a group of YouTube editors. Like I think YouTube editors is a good pool for, if you,
that's what we try to look for.
Yeah. Like, cause
they know how to storytell. They usually understand a little bit more than like subtitles.
And a hack for somebody like yourself and people listening. Like one of the things that like I've been working with Savannah. I give her a lot of love on the podcast because I've been working with her for like 7 years. I found her at my local coffee shop. She was introduced to me because I was doing the fashion YouTube, which I told you about earlier. And she was like a vlogger, and she had built up like 10,000 subscribers on YouTube just because she liked to edit videos. And when I met her, I was like, her parents were like, you need to kind of get a job, like you need to make money. And she was like serving at Tijuana Flats, which was like a Mexican restaurant.
Yeah.
She was like a server, and she was in school, and she hated it. And I was like, well, I can pay you this to edit my videos for me. And mainly because she had that younger, edgier style that I wanted, which I knew I could learn. I just didn't want to. I was like, I need to focus on making videos. Like I need somebody like that. But I think, and I don't want to say it like it's like kind of like a failed creator. it's like you've grown to something to a certain point, and maybe you're not skilled with monetizing that thing. And like she was trying to make money, but she was struggling to make money. And I was like, well, I recognize your skill sets. I'll pay you for them. And she made the call, and then she still does stuff on the side. She still has channels. She's got like 50,000 followers on TikTok, like, but she's doing that out of fun because she's, you know, taken care of like financially. So, I mean, those are good ones to find. If you can find somebody that has, like, I would say YouTube is the best. I just think that you can fake everything on Instagram. So it's like, it's not a good barometer for like editing success. But like, if you have any, we say 10, 15, 20,000 subs on YouTube, you've edited enough videos to where you know how to storytell and you know how to get followers and engage attention. But if you have like 20,000 subs, you're probably not making any money.
Yeah.
So those are good ones to kind of pull from if you can find them, to be like, hey, I'll pay you this. You don't have to stop that, you know. But that's another thing too, is if they keep going, they eventually might quit, you know, to go do their own thing, which is that, you know, you do have that risk.
You always have that risk.
But that's how, and also too, like kind of what you said, like a good test, like one thing that I kind of made videos about on my account was, if I was a video editor, I would start side accounts and I would edit whoever I wanted to work for's clips until I got one to get 1 million views. And then I would send that video to you or your team.
That's a great idea.
Like that might take a year for some people. That might take, if I did it.
But it's all perspective. It doesn't need to be 1 million, dude. Like,
no, just
if someone's getting 15,000 on average and you run an account and you get them 3 videos to 100K on that account and you send that to it, like if I'm doing 10K views a video and you send me an account that's doing 100K views a video on my videos, I'd be like, when do you want to start? You know what I mean?
It's more just it establishes, and if you like the videos too, like you may have views, but you're like, this video is kind of shitty. Like I don't like how this looks. I don't like how this.
Yeah, that plays a part.
You know, but I think that's
secondary to the views.
Yeah, the views are, if you're getting views and you can like, you're gonna look at, that was a good hook. Oh, I like how he strung that together. I can train the subtitles, or AI is going to do that. There's apps for that.
I change the filter that's on the video. Like,
yeah,
he's
like
using
your framing is a little off. Like, let's work on that. Like, because there's a lot of things that really, like, as an editor myself, plus like a company owner, like, I can't have perfection. And like, there's things about like even my company's videos that get posted, and I'm like, I would never have posted that if I was editing it.
Yeah.
But you have to kind of let that.
If that's some loose slack.
Yeah. Like I have to. You know, so I do trainings on like, and the editor has to like take feedback well too. Like I'm sure you, like, cause it's a process at first, like, especially for us, like with my company, it's like, I joke, but it's like, you know, I only have like A-level roster. It's like you're playing for the Yankees day one. Like I don't have like clients with like, you know, I have a local bar or a local restaurant. I could put a new editor on. It's like you come in day one, you might be editing Cardone, or you might be editing Pineda, or you might be editing, you know, me, or you might be editing like, you know, I generally give new editors my stuff because I have more control over it. And like same thing, Savannah has been really like one of the lead trainers, so she knows me. Like
she's also quality assurance. It sounds like, so like no one's getting through to these other guys' accounts without,
you know. So it's there is also a lot like. And I mean, I'll share a funny story. So one thing I did with the side account is like because I was trying to mimic like the Aman Gadzi thing and get side accounts built for me, just based purely off performance. And I took a drive and I dumped a bunch of my like most successful videos in there. And then I sent out, you know, I made an Instagram story and I put the drive link with an email and I said, enter your email, you get access to a drive. Edit the videos any way you see fit. Post them any account you want, anywhere, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I don't care. If they get views, I will pay you. And it was like 100,000 views, 500,000 views, or 1 million views. It was like $100, you know, I think 250 and 500 if you got me 1 million. And I did that for a while. And then I built up an email list. Like, but the irony is I built up an email list of like 2,000 video editors from my social media. I didn't pay out a whole lot of 500s. Like the only way I could get them to actually edit was I would say, if you edit a video in the next 24 hours, I'll send you $20. Then I could get a bunch of videos like posted really quickly. And then I would like the next day be paying everybody as they came through because it was still worth it for me for the exposure because a couple of those would do well.
Yeah.
But then I was like, okay, how can I hire like this? So I turned to, I did the same thing. I said, hey, I want to pay you, you know, $20 to, you know, for your submission, but you have 24 hours here's the video, here's the style that I want, which is one of our clients, make it identical, like exactly the same. Here's the raw file, here's the clip that went viral already. I need you to duplicate this. And I had 70 people submit a video. I didn't hire anybody.
Wow. Not a single one.
Not a single one. And I also tried to pay them all, and I almost got my PayPal account shut down because it was all from different countries. And
disaster.
so that was kind of a disastrous thing, and I felt bad about that. But again, like, I also was just like, these fucking videos suck.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not hiring anybody. Like,
which is sad.
Which is very sad.
So it's not even the total people. It's just 70 submissions.
You know, and it was like, it was everything from like a lot of misspellings to like, I'm like, how did you fuck this up that bad? Like, you had the guide.
You have the exact thing that we
and
wanted.
that was like a test to see if they paid attention, if they could replicate details. And like, I'm talking like, it doesn't have to be like 100%. Like, if the drop shadow was thicker on yours than the other one, I'm not going to knock you for that, you know, but it's like, at least put a drop shadow on there, like on the font. Like, you can clearly see there was a drop shadow on there. So it was eye opening. And that's when I was like, I can't find editors this way anymore. Like, so then I stopped using my social media altogether, and that's where it went to. I went to the staffing agent. Like, well, they approached me, so I guess it was good timing. And they've so far worked out quite well. I can give you their contact too.
So let's wrap up the podcast with this. If someone was to go, they have editing experience, they want to start their own editing agency right now, what's some piece of advice? How would they find clients, and what are some pitfalls they need to watch out for so that they can just avoid them?
I mean, finding clients and pitfall, I'll tackle the clients first. The clients first, you have to get one client and you have to get them really good results. Because in my case, that first client was Adley, and I got her 1 million followers. It wasn't hard to get a follower, to get clients after that. And I also had others that I had done for free, because this is when nobody cared about TikTok. So it was Chris Barner with Overtime Athletics. I took his account from 0 to 200,000. And then Elliot Holst is another friend of mine. I actually grew like multiple accounts of his to like 100K, but he kept getting banned because he's very wild politically. But those are 3 case studies that I then leveraged to close other clients that all came word of mouth from those original case studies. Like, I've never needed, like I guess I'm fortunate, like, because I've not had to look for a client. Everything has been inbound, comes to me. But I would set my business up like that from the get-go. I would purely base off results. Like, I'll do you for free, but this is what I expect. If I get this, will you do this? And for me at the time, back then, it was 100,000 followers. And I did that multiple times over and over again for a lot of the biggest people that you guys listen to this podcast follow. Like, that was my initial offer. And it started, I did that for free. And then I did it for Elliot and Chris with the hopes of an incentive later on from the account, but that never came to fruition. Mm-hmm. So it was 2 for free. Adley was my first paying one at $750 a month. And then it wasn't until I started working with Grant did I see any sizable monthly retainer. But by the time I got, you know, a Cardone level client, I'd already grown 7 accounts to 100K and 1 to 1 million. Like, I had a track record.
And that's followers. That's not view.
That was followers.
View count's way higher.
You know, it would be hard to recreate that now, but I would base that off views. Like, how many videos have I made that have gone viral? Mm-hmm. I would just reframe the offer a little bit. But I think that's the easiest way to get clients. Like, but that takes time and sweat equity. But also something that I did from the get-go, which is kind of like the pitfalls, is I didn't take any money from the editing, like the agency. I was actually DM closing while I was growing the agency. So like, basically, Elliot Holst has been a friend of mine for a very long time. I was DM chat closing through his Facebook at selling a $997 product for, I think it was a 10 or 15% commission. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I was making roughly $4,000 to $6,000 a month in commission selling for Elliot on his Facebook. And then I had a couple.
That's wild.
Yeah, I was a really good chat closer. But I was,
which I told you should do more in your company.
Yeah, I know.
Actually, someone actually paid me for consulting. They do about maybe like $40K a month, and they do short form content is what they do. And they're like, yeah, we see people churn because like the first expense to get rid of is like the $5K they're paying for organic, let's say, or $4K. And my advice to them was like, start chat closing and start turning your organic viewership into actual dollars by you, so that therefore if I'm going and I'm going to cut expenses as a business and I'm paying $4K to this editing company and they're making me 10, I'm not going to cut them. But if I'm paying them 4, and they may be making me more than 10, but I can't see that they're making me more than 10. All I can see is views.
Yep.
It makes it hard to keep them because it's just an expense to most people.
Yeah, to most people. The only way you'll mitigate that is if they value the attention. So like that.
Everyone values the attention, bro. But there comes a point. You felt this. We were talking on the way here.
Yeah. Even I feel this. Like, so it's, you're absolutely correct. Like at some point, viral isn't enough, and like there's a slow death that I call it. Like when a client stops working with us. And I've seen it multiple times. People pull the plug, or they take it in-house, or they stop working with me and my team. And I watch, because call it spite, call it ego. Like, I'm like, okay, are they going to beat me? Or are they?
Is it even ego? Is it just a split test? It's like, hey, let's see if this was a good choice or bad choice.
I look at TikTok as the barometer. I know that's like most people focus on Instagram, but TikTok there's a tool called Talk Audit I use. It's like it tracks views, so I can plug in anybody's account and I can see their views for whatever time frame I want. And I take the day that we stop posting and I just go to the current. And I do it 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And it's always a slow death. So when you pull the plug of organic, it's not a fast thing. It's going to happen over time, which is good for me because some of those clients have since come back. But to answer your question, like for when I was chat closing, because that's a good idea. We've been talking about that all day for the most part, how to add more financial shit into what I'm selling. But when I was using most of that money, because I immediately hired or outsourced to Luis, who's still with me to this day, and Savannah. And I was using my chat closing money to pay them. Like, and it was like, I wasn't even making enough to pay them. I just didn't want them to work for anybody else. I was just like, so I think Luis at the time was like, he started at like $500 a month, and then it was like gradually increased I think it was like $500 per account is when I started. And so it was like Luis got to where it was like $2,000 a month, and I brought Savannah back in because she went and took another job because I couldn't afford to keep paying her back then. I brought her back on when I think I could pay her $3,000 a month. So it was like she was in charge of like 5 accounts. And then I was editing. And then it finally I think I had like 10 clients or so when I stopped chat closing. So like it took me a little bit to get it profitable. And also like each of them was already trained too. If I had to go back now, I would have to like, I would keep doing what I'm doing, and I would be training an editor on the side. Like then I would start the agency when I knew I had one good editor, because one good editor is good for 4 videos a day on average. So if you're charging $5,000 a client, one editor, if you're paying them like $5,000 plus bonuses, they're worth $20,000 to $25,000 a month. So like it's removing you from the get-go, but that's really hard to do because in my case, like I was the one that kind of crafted the whole style. So, and I had the face, and like people are still very like my videos are dissected. Like people like, oh, he's testing this or he's doing this. So like there's a lot of,
he changed his font.
Yeah, he changes his font, or he's still doing this, or now he's doing all interviews. Like, so people are looking at, so like I have a little more of that than like the average person would have to deal with. But it like, that's one thing I did right, was I treated it like a business from day one. Like I'm like, I can't do all this. I need to find people. And then it was like, as soon as I maxed out Luis and Savannah, I found Kim. And then I found, then everybody else is kind of.
But you did that after 7 years of being in business.
Yeah. After 7 years.
It's not like you just had the intuition. It's very hard to hire people. I don't think people really understand how hard it is to like fork out that money. Like even these same guys that I consulted for the social media stuff, I told them you need to hire someone who's like creative director whose job is to come up with these concepts, not you guys. Okay. And they just messaged me. This is like 3 weeks after we had that call. They're like, hey, we found someone. It's going to be like $4,500 a month for this person. That's a lot for us right now. Are you sure? I'm like, yes. You need to like make the sacrifice to make it worth it. It's very hard, like especially if you build up income. Let's say you go in, hiring in general is very hard early on in business because like you're sacrificing your personal income. So like you worked 2 years to get to 10K a month. And then someone's telling you in order for you to get to 25, you have to hire someone for 5. And you're like, dude, that's like half of everything I've worked for up to this point that I've built, Yep. And those first few hires I think are very, very hard to make. So good piece of advice, having that first editor being built out and hired, easier said than done, mentally and emotionally more than physically.
I think there's also something that I've experienced, and maybe this is just a growth process, because as my monthly expenses went up, it was like I had to get comfortable spending large amounts of money, even though I know like I would not be able to achieve the money that's coming in without me spending this money. Like I don't have a problem like with a disconnect, but it was like getting comfortable. It's like when my expenses, I remember it was like really vividly, it was like when my expenses went over $30,000 a month, I was like, because it was like my dream for a long time to make $1,000 like a day, like 30 grand a month. Oh shit, I'm fucking rich. Like, yeah. And now I'm spending that. Like that fucked with me for like months, like trying to get over that. And that was right when I came to you. And it was like, I was like trying to figure out like, what do I need to do here? And the one hire for me that was like, you know, thankfully it came recently and she, you know, she's doing awesome. But like the first like 6-figure hire was still really hard for me to wrap my mind around that. Like I have like responsibilities for all these different people and all these livelihoods. And like, I still have like my fiance and my daughter. And then it's like, I have 15 other human beings that like, I am the sole provider for. Like if I fuck up, they feel the wrath. Like, so like, I think that's like something too, like, if like somebody wants to get into this, like if you want to grow like to an agency, specifically a video agency, you have to hire people fast. I mean, you told me that. You're like, and you were the one like, just spend more money on the hires, hire better people. And I was like, okay. I'm like, God, this is uncomfortable. Like I'm spending like, now I'm paying my editors this much and they're getting better. And it's like, oh shit, I got to make that higher. That's like 6 figures. Oh God, I got to make this much. I got to find this client. It's like, you're always like, it's a very uncomfortable process until then you're just like, okay, that's just what it is now. And I think I finally got to that point, but it like, there was that like transition period where I was like, fuck, I'm spending a lot of money. And I had to get used to it. Like, and I don't think people, I think you see that that's the resistance, like that agency you're talking about. It's like when an agency in short form specific, because a lot of them reach out to me too, like for how did I get, because I mean, I found walls at like 30K, 50K, and now I've been at the 100K wall for a long time. And to break through the 100K, it's taken complete organizational re-infrastructure of everything.
For sure.
And I'm confident now that we're going to fucking shoot past that with what I've been able to kind of, but who knows? It might be wrong. We'll try again. But I see the agencies get stuck. Right when I said it's like they have 5 to 7 clients, 3 to 5K a month each. They're doing it by themselves, and they can't stand the sight of it edited video anymore because they're still editing 7 days a week. And that's not a life. Like that is fucking shit. Like it's terrible. Like, and then you're posting for all those accounts too, because that's what we were doing. Like we have a job, like I have 3 posters in my company now that they just post videos. Like, you know, and it takes roughly a full 8-hour day to post for all of our clients. Like that's a problem that I didn't know I even had until I had it. It was like, holy shit. Like it takes 4 hours a day to post all the videos that my team is making. Like
crazy.
You know, so now we have like, and these are like more part-time positions. I have 3. They're awesome. Like, but they're like a posting job. I don't think people realize like a posting job is one of the most stressful jobs to have because especially the level of accounts like that you're managing and overseeing. Like I have to be able to text these people, like one of these 3 at any given time, because like if you were my client and you're like, Ryan, this fucking video, like it's being received wrong. Like I got so-and-so's pissed off at me. I needed to come down now because there's a good chance that you don't have access to your own account. Because I found that most clients don't have access to their own accounts. Like myself included, like Luis is like always in and out of my account. Like that video needs to come down immediately and it's 1 a.m. I need to text, you know, because we run like 27 accounts. So it's like I have to text, you know, Sway or Luis or like, yo, take that video down right now. And if they don't answer, I'm blowing them the fuck up.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, and then also there's like, I have an irrational fear of somebody posting a dick pic on somebody's story because they're out wasted one night. Like, I mean, you know the level of accounts that I'm running. Like, could you imagine a dick pic going on somebody's story?
Oh, I forgot who it was the other day, but it was like a professional basketball team. And their social media manager accidentally was logged into their account. And she was drunk at a bar, and she posted like a video of her twerking with her friend or something, and it was on like the NBA team account, instead of her own, like shit like that.
That's an irrational fear that I have that I just like
valid fear, bro. It's one click of a difference.
Yeah, like, and that could lose like, you know, if that were to happen to one of my clients, that's 10 grand a month.
Yeah,
like I would fire me over that, like maybe, or especially if it happened twice, like maybe you get one free one. It's like, you know, and that's, you know. Try hiring for a poster. It's like, you need to work 7 days a week. I'm not going to pay you that much because how do you pay a poster? Like I can't afford to pay you like a full-time video editor, But I also need you to pay attention to the data because I'm going to ask you for data and I'm going to need you to send me screenshots immediately. Like, so it's like a weird position to have. And that's another thing, again, going back on like when they get stuck, like now it's like I've lost all creative control of the videos being posted too. It's in the hands of a poster. So like we've had to rework the whole strategy to where when the video leaves like Savannah and Kim, it's ready for the world. You know, it's like, well, what if Kim's having an off day, or what if Sav's just not feeling it that day, or like, and something gets through. It's like that I think is the hardest, like that I struggle with like, because I want the perfect videos to get posted because that's like my reputation. Like I rip my own videos apart all the time. Like I want to edit, like I literally want to fire everybody and edit my own videos probably 2-3 times a week. But then I have Ariana's like, you can't edit your videos, dude. Don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're flying for the next 3 days, like good luck editing a video there at the airport. I know how bad the Wi-Fi is there. Like the download speeds are dog shit.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like being like that. I think that there's a level to like the comfort of letting go of control versus, you know, having to want to, you know, that's why I've just had to teach everybody has to be as good as me. And that's hard to do.
And the expense part's a hard part, like paying all that money. I remember, so this was a very pivotal point in my career. I remember attending a conference and I sat down and the guys were talking of how much money they spend on their own ads, their team, whatever. And my one takeaway of that entire thing was I need to be able to spend, I remember up to that point, my goals were revenue oriented. I need to make 10K a month. I need to make 20K a month, whatever it is, right? That day, my entire mindset shifted because I was like, hey, maybe if you reposition your goal temporarily as I need to be able to afford spending this much per month on ads and a team, maybe the picture changes a bit. And I did for like a year period. I was like, I need to be able to spend 3K a month on ads and not care. Mm-hmm. I need to be able to spend 3K a month on ads, not care. And I eventually got to the point where I was spending 3K a month on ads from zero. And I remember that was when my business started taking off because I started understanding that I need to spend that money. It's not money for me to keep. It's money that I need to be able to afford to spend. Mm. And when I started spending that money on ads, I started unlocking like a whole new level to our business. This was in 2020. And then from there, our business has completely taken off. But I had to shift the mentality of like, how much do I want to make to how much do I have to force myself to spend on team, on marketing, whatever it is, and be comfortable doing that, you know. Yeah, and then, that shifted everything.
And then it's also all the like, because that's how I've had the force. Says it's like my expenses, you know, like let's say they're nearing like 50, like they hover around like 50,000. So I'm like, what does it look like to spend 100,000 a month? Like, what does that infrastructure look like? How much money should I be making there? It's also being able to forefront. Like if I'm spending 20, what does it look like when I'm spending 40 versus when I'm spending 60 versus when I'm spending 80? Like I've had to kind of like, you know, rework my brain to, okay, this is, because even like for me, it was like, because I was still paying people via Zelle up until, because of the bonuses for every video. We had to calculate everything. And there's like, I tried to get into like payroll services, like for like the services that Matt, and it was like so complicated. So it's like Zelle only allows you to transfer 50 or send 15,000 a day. So so it took me 3 days to pay my whole team. Like, so I'd be like, hey, I mean, thankfully they're all like, I never miss payment. So I'm like, hey, like you're on the 1st and the 15th, you're on the 2nd and the 16th. And then like the more leadership roles, like the ones that are more like, hey, we're getting paid last, you know? So that's when you're going to get your transfers. But like, even that, like that's a problem. You don't know. Like it would take me, plus it's like paying per video versus bringing everybody in salary versus the outcomes. Like, it's like even learning how to like this is a completely different skill. I'm a different person trying to do this than I am just coming up with subtitles and making videos. So it's like, I don't know that most people are cut out for that. Like for me, it's been very challenging.
Makes sense.
Like, which is why I'm glad that I now can afford to have somebody in that place, which is like another one of those key hires that I'm sure you probably made a few of them in your time. That was like, oh, thank God I don't have to do this anymore. But then you have to give all your trust to somebody else because now they have access to your bank accounts. They have access to, they're like you when you're not you. And that, whew.
And you've had situations where that's bit you in the ass at the end.
Yes, I lost a little bit of money from a previous, like, and it didn't work out. But it was a good learning experience because now I'm like, I don't want this. This is what I want.
Yeah.
So can you do this?
Only one way to find out.
Yeah. So I mean, But then again, it's like just being comfortable. Because even then, it's like, when that wound's fresh, you got to bring somebody else in. Like I can't do this, or else it's like other shit's gonna slack.
Yeah.
So it's like you had to get over that. Like, okay, all right, we're hiring somebody this week. Like no time to cry about that wound. Like, so I think that's like that stops a lot of people, like from. I mean, even like very successful people. Like there's the people that want the one-man show versus like the 5 or a lean team. I think that's the phrase people use now.
Yeah.
Like I just want to continually increase the revenue. So it's like I have to do that with people, and I need to be able to train them better.
Both our businesses are very people product dependent. Like we as people are the product. Mm-hmm. Whereas most businesses, like the product is something else that they can scale without a lot of people.
Yep. And and then you add in the personal brand aspect of. So not only do you have like the stress of the business, but also, I have 500,000 followers.
Yeah, big difference. So question for you. This was super valuable. Thanks for sharing a lot of this insight too. This is a good conversation. I had a fucking really good time.
Yeah, I like this.
And, this is like a carryover of our car conversation that we had on the way here. But we end all our episodes the same way. It's basically we call it like fortune cookie advice. Mm-hmm. Like if you were to give someone advice who was maybe like 10 years younger than where you're at right now, life advice. It doesn't have to be around video editing or anything like that, but some sort of advice that they could like hear, listen, and like it would change the way that their life goes or their future is in general. What would that, one piece of life advice be that you would give?
I think based on where we are now, it would be figure out how to get people's attention and do it in a way and pride yourself on results. Because that's the only thing I've ever succeeded at. Was everything I've ever started was because I got results doing something on my own, and then I and then I did it for other people. So like you have to get that one win for yourself.
So get that one win.
Get one win for yourself, and then figure out how to do it for other people. Okay,
and you basically leveraging that win to get more clients or business or
or it could be you discovered how to make the perfect hamburger. Like you figured it out for yourself. Now figure out how to do it for others. And then, to quote Hormozi, like solve rich people problems because they pay more.
So you think rich people are going to pay for a hamburger?
It got to be a damn good hamburger. It'll be $100 hamburger.
I appreciate you making it on the show. Where's the best place for people to like connect with you, follow you, message you?
I mean, I'm everywhere, but Instagram's home.
So, which is what? What's your handle?
It's just Ryan Magin, Ryan Magin.
Easy enough. Dude.
Everything is my name. So
thank you so much for getting on the show. Much appreciated, dude.
Thanks, Eddie.
Appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the 4Media Uncut podcast. If you want to work with us, learn with us, or even join the team and be a part of what we're doing at 4Media Marketing, just go to our website. It's 4media.marketing. No .com, no .net, .marketing, because that's all we do around here. And most importantly, share this with a friend wherever you're listening to or watching this on. Please hit that share button, send it over to a friend, someone else that you think will get value out of this. It would mean the world to us.
And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like this video and comment down below any suggestions for future guests. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, please rate this 5 stars and leave us a review there. That helps us tremendously in the algorithm world. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode of 4Media Uncut Podcast.